Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us for today's roundtable on tools, technology, and training solutions for rebar contractors. For those who might not be familiar with us, we are the Steel Erectors Association of America, or SEAA. SEAA was established in 1972 and represents structural and reinforcing steel contractors, fabricators, and the suppliers that serve this market. We're a national organization with members in more than 40 US states and 3 Canadian provinces. My name's Macy Muri. I will be your moderator for today. I sit on SEAA's marketing committee and I've been involved with SEAA since 2018. Just a couple of housekeeping things to go over before we get started. If you have any questions throughout the session, they can be typed in the question box in the top right-hand corner of your screen. It's the icon with the question mark within the box. We'll get to as many questions as we can in the time allowed, and we will send follow-up emails with answers to any questions that we weren't able to get through today. We will be sending out a recording of this session within 24 hours. It will also be available on SEAA's website as an on-demand session if you want to share this with anyone within your company or organization. We also want to thank Advanced Construction Robotics and Max USA for partnering with us on this webinar. Today, we're going to discuss the changes that we've seen this year to OSHA regulations, the ongoing labor shortage, and how tools and advanced technology, including solutions from Max USA and Advanced Construction Robotics, are boosting productivity and making new hires more efficient. We'll also talk a little bit about SEAA's craft training and Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program for reinforcing ironworkers, which offers contractors of all sizes a pathway to workforce development. I'm really excited to dive into these topics today with our panelists. Let's go ahead and get into introductions. Jack, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and why you joined SEAA?
Yeah, Macy, thanks for having me here today. My name's Jack Nix. I'm the current Chief Operations Officer for Shelby Erectors. We are a company, a subcontract that works out of the southeastern United States. We're located in Florida. We specialize in rebar installation, metal deck installation, and shear stud installation, primarily on bridge highway transportation projects. We don't do any vertical commercial work. We stick mostly to DOT projects of that nature. I've been involved with SEAA since 2008. I've been on the board for since 2010. I am currently the president of SEAA, and yeah, I joined SEAA originally just to get around people in our industry, to network with people that are doing similar to what I'm doing or things I'm doing, see what I could learn, keep abreast of what's happening in the industry. There's always changes with technology and factors, and I strongly believe that you got to be willing to understand that you don't know everything there is to know about this industry or any industry. That you always got to be getting better. So SEAA provides that path for me.
Great, thanks, Jack. Donnie?
Hello, I'm Donnie Read. I handle estimates and operations for DT Read Steel. We're also a subcontractor specializing in rebar installation as well as post-tension cable, shear studs, and also the permanent metal decking that you find on bridges. We joined SEAA mostly because we wanted to join an organization where companies within our same industry are focused really on helping each other out with things like networking, as Jack mentioned, and also training.
Great, thanks, Donnie. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you joined SEAA? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, my name's Chris Lewis. I'm the Vice President of DT Read. We joined SEAA for the education, the safety. It's the apprenticeship program that they've got established for our iron workers. It's something that's new for us, and we wanted to be a part of it. We joined back in May of this year. I know Jack's reached out to us multiple times, but it's time for us to look out for our employees a lot better, and they provide a lot of the safety and the training and the education. Our company, as Donald said earlier, we specialize in rebar, metal decking, shear studs, and post-tension insulation. We work southeast and cover a wide variety of the states. We specialize in DOT work, vertical work, industrial work, and energy industries. So, yeah, thanks for having us, Macy, and looking forward to it.
Thanks, Chris. Mike, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Mike Adams. I'm with Coast Rebar. I'm the operations manager there. I've been familiar with SEAA for between 25, 28 years, something like that. When I was younger in the industry, I grew up into it just like most of these guys on the board right now. And my father was a part of the Steel Associations of America, and it was a good program then. It now catering towards more reinforcing iron workers, which is why I think we're all here today, is to help in our industry, streamline it and get a little more productive, find out what's out there in the market today. And this industry is growing fast. So I think this whole organization is, if you're an iron worker, it's good to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Let's go ahead and get into our first question. Let's get started. This year, we've seen several key updates to OSHA regulations that could impact both safety practices and compliance. OSHA is emphasizing more frequent and rigorous safety training across high-risk industries, which includes reinforcing iron workers, and has ramped up its inspections and enforcement policies with increased fines for safety violations. Mike, I do want to go ahead and start with you. How have you adapted to these recent changes in OSHA regulations and safety standards?
Was that directed towards me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how have we changed? Well, over the years, the safety has just gotten better, not worse, in my opinion. It's standard practice. It's the little things that make all the difference. You can see now if the general contractors, you see how they got the bicycle helmets now, right, with the little strap on them. The reason why that is because a lot of times when you fall, your hard hat falls off and it doesn't protect you anymore. You know what I mean? So it's just the little small things like that you have to stay ahead of the curve. It helps you with your insurance. I mean, safety is getting better. It's not getting worse. And as far as any rigging or things that we deal with day in and day out, fall protection, things like that, I mean, you have to be up to speed with all the policies and procedures, or you're never going to make it. I mean, your safety has to be number one in this industry, or, and that's just my take on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know those, the hard hats, the switch has been, it's caused a big, ruckus in the industry moving to these hard hats, but in reality, they really are saving people's lives. I heard someone from Impact share their story. They were working here, I'm in Kansas City, and if an iron worker had an accident and fell, and he would have died if he didn't have that hard hat on. So
Yeah.
they really are saving lives.
Yeah.
So while these changes are happening, they're good changes, but I know
Yeah.
it can be hard to make those shifts. Do you think that these changes have had, and this is open to anybody that wants to answer, do you think that these changes have impacted your company's culture at all?
It has in mine.
We all know safety is, a number one priority. It has to be. You got to put your employees first. You never put production over safety. And when you get that message across in your company and your employees understand that, and you back it up with your actions, not just your words, then you create a culture where they feel safe. They feel like you really care about them, and that's it. And that's it at the end of the day. We want everybody to go home the same way they came to work that day. We don't want to have to call anybody's wife or family to tell them that they've sustained an injury. And we've proven, all of us, have proven that you can do this work safely. And part of our job right now as SEAA and as people in the industry is to let the general public know, the moms and dads out there that are afraid to let their kids get into the construction industry because they think it's dangerous, that that's just not true. It's not the way it was way back in the day. Um, so, we have a job. Part of this is what we're doing here is explaining that to people so people hear that message and say, hey, construction is a great career and industry for your kids. Okay. College isn't for everybody, but we can come out there and we can do this safely. We have the tools, we have the ability to do it. Our company in particular just celebrated over 500,000 man hours without a recordable injury. I'm extremely
Congratulations.
proud of that. I never thought as a rebar company that we would ever hit that goal. Okay, I
Wow.
thought it was out of reach, but we've proven it can be done. I agree with Mike. The new helmets, we just adopted the new helmets here this past year, and I'm proud to do it. Yes, some people went kicking and screaming. They don't like the way they look, but at the end of the day, it's really not about that. It's about making them safe, right? So.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Those are great points, Jack. Thanks. All right, let's go ahead and we can get into our second question. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics recently reported that we will need to fill almost 700,000 jobs by 2031 to meet industry demand. Additionally, there are several infrastructure investment initiatives that are expected to boost job growth in industries like rebar installation. This means that rebar contractors will likely face increasing workforce needs due to both the labor shortage and increased project volume. And to prepare for this, companies in the rebar sector are adopting new tools and technology to increase productivity and attract new talent in response to these workforce demands. How are you utilizing technology to help bridge the gap between labor shortages and productivity demands? Chris?
Oh, yes. I thought that was Jack's question. Let me go and get into it then. Yeah, some of
Calling
the
you
key
out.
things. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm good with it. I like the new technology that's coming out. So, it's what's helping us close the gap right now. And I'm going to take my hat off to ACR right now. It's advanced construction robotics. I was that and tie max, the rebar max tie guns. I was against that for the longest time. The technology has evolved. I've had to evolve with AI right now. So, we started implementing the tie bot currently over the past couple of years into our projects from not really our labor shortage. It's pretty much for the strenuous work that it takes to be an iron worker right now. I mean, tying decks. I mean, it can be it's strenuous on our backs, our hands, the carpal tunnel. That technology that's coming in, it's starting to help the gap between our labor shortage and the productive demands. So us implementing these tie bots, for example, on these projects, it's accelerating some of our projects and the productivity demands that the contractors are requesting by almost 30%. And it's job specific, and the rebar tying guns, it's specific jobs that they can be on because of the cost and the impact that it has. Now the tie bots and the tie guns, it's not for every job. I mean, it's job specific, but with the AI in the industry, there's a lot of machines and different time machines in the market today. There's a lot of technology that's out there, and it's not for every company, it's not for every job. We like to implement them on our jobs. Our guys love them, and it's not that we're trying to put people out of work. We're just trying to take it where, I mean, our guys are able to last long in this industry. It's a tough industry, and it can beat you down. I mean, being an iron worker, I mean, not everyone can do that. So that's some of the key ways that technology is helping our company and other companies that's on this call. I know Jack utilizes them and some other companies utilize them, but Jack and DT Read has been able to implement and talk with ACR and some of the changes we have made. And, we're always going to have issues with technology, and some of the guys are not going to come on board with utilizing technology. But, after they start opening their eyes with technology and what we're trying to do as a company and implement these into job sites because of some of the labor shortage, no job can you get done fast enough for some of these people. I mean, they're behind schedule before you can get started. So the productivity demands, they're high. The production demands are high. So the schedules are always behind. You're always going to have issues, but bringing that technology into this industry is really good. And again, it's not for certain jobs, vertical work. It's implemented right now into DOT work, but there's other stuff that I've seen. Technology waste like BAM Tech has come out with rebar mats is already pre-tied together. You just roll out for flat work. So we're going to try anything we can do to help our manpower and make them last as long as we can.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think that this new technology, do you think that it helps during recruitment and getting new bodies in the field and kind of building up your workforce?
yes, it does. I believe, some of like the tie bot, for example. You need to know something about technology to operate the machine. Everybody can be taught. I think it brings you really don't have to be an iron worker to understand how to operate it. But it's going to bring some. I'm not saying it's going to bring more. I think they'll be more adaptive to come along if uh, we have more technology like that. The tie guns, you really don't have to be able to use the Timex, rebar Timex gun. They're good, but again, it's for certain jobs. I'm hoping it brings more people into the industry, but I don't know that question. The answer to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Jack, what's your experience with using some of this technology? I know, of course, you want people that are coming in and they're new. You want them to be able to do it, I don't want to say the old-fashioned way, but the way that they're supposed to, using their hands, using their bodies. But how do you think it helps with those new hires? With burnout or feeling exhausted and the physically demanding part that comes with this work.
Yeah. So, Chris hit it on there. So you can take a brand new guy, a young guy, or even an older guy that's never done ironwork before, and you can put one of those tie guns in their hands, and currently we're using Max USA guns with twin tires, and they can be productive from day one. Okay, that wasn't always the case. When you had to learn how to tie, it takes a little while. If you watch the show that we did with Mike Rowe, you'll see Mike the and pliers, right? It takes a while. There's a skill that takes a learn, and not only that, it's difficult. It's difficult to be bent over like that. You're not used to being in that position. So these tie guns, they give us the ability to make somebody productive right off the bat, and they're still going to have to learn the skills and how to use the hand tools because, as Chris, said, you can't use those tools in every situation. There's certain situations they work, and then there's certain ones that they don't. But we can take people that don't have a lot of experience and we can make them productive from day one. There's the battle between the cost of technology and the cost of labor, and so what we struggle with as subcontractors, we're still in business and we have to be able to make a profit in order to keep our doors open and to pay people what we need to. So we're constantly trying, as we're adopting new technologies, we're also working with those people in those technologies saying, we need to get the price right. We're not getting paid anything extra for using tie bot, iron bot, or the tie guns. As a matter of fact, in some situations, it's costing us more, but we can produce more production, right? But the cost, it's not like we're making more money. We're trading labor dollars for technology dollars, is what I've said, and we're not replacing our workforce. We're enhancing our workforce, and to Chris's point, we're giving people more longevity. They can last longer in this industry by making some of the adoptions that we're making. I'm real proud to do that. I've been working with TieBot. I've been the longest adopter of that technology. So when they came to market, it's been almost 4 years now, and and from the first version to where we are now, there's been huge strides, and there will continue to be strides, and all of these technologies will continue to get better. The more people that we get to use these things, my hope is supply and demand, that the cost comes down, the wire cost, the added cost that it costs to use some of these tools, so that they can become a profit center for us. That's what we want them to be, right?
Absolutely. Mike, do you have anything to add?
So I don't use the tie bot, but I can see where it saves, especially when you can run it 24 hours a day and you can't run a rod buster 24 hours a day. I mean, there it is. It works in the rain. It works in the, it does its own thing when you turn it loose. So, I mean, is it productive? Yeah, of course it is. Uh, I'm a little bit of old school, but still there's a shift in our labor force, of course, right? And you either get with the program or don't sooner or later. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be more work out. I mean, there's work everywhere right now, and there is a slide in labor. Therefore, you've got to make some hard choices whether you're going to, pick up a tie gun or pick up a tie bot. You know what I mean? To keep going with what you have to get accomplished eventually, anyways. But those guns are pretty good. I remember the prototypes 20 years ago. You know what I mean? We broke those things in a long time ago. So they work and they're getting better and better, just like these gentlemen said. Technology's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to ask, since we're kind of talking about labor, I want to ask a little bit about some incentives or initiatives you and your companies might have in place to keep your workers from bouncing around. Do you guys have what do you guys do, if anything? How are you guys keeping your crews engaged, keeping them loyal, not changing them out for technology or where they feel like they're being slighted because you're using this technology? How are you guys handling that?
I'll go first. That's pretty easy. Pay them well. Take care of them.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
that's me. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the secret.
Yeah. Jack, because Jack, I know you at Shelby Erectors, you guys do some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even believe I'm going to say these words because I never would have said them before, but trying to, work-life balance stuff with our guys, making sure that, we're providing the culture that they want to work in, changing some of our old school mentality, the hard ass iron worker, go work 60 hours a week, shut up and don't cry about it. But yeah, so we spend a lot more effort making sure that we're providing them with benefits, giving them a good solid place to work for. You have people that want 50, 60 hours a week. You have guys that want 40 hours a week, and that's fine. There's a place for each one of them. You got to figure out. It's not easy, especially for us old school guys. We don't identify with that very well, but that's the environment we're trying to provide, or at least at Shelby Erectors we are. And you make needs, but their needs personally and how they can grow within a company. Some of these things we talk about is, career paths and making sure we're kind of laying those things out, apprenticeship programs so we can get them training. I talked about that the other day and we'll talk about that again. But the things that we're trying to do. There's bottom guys that are going to take this everywhere. They're in every industry, and they go. What I will say is the top 80% of our employees have been with us for long term, and they don't go anywhere. We keep them busy. Those bottom guys that want to chase a dollar somewhere, they'll go work for me, and then they'll go work for Donnie, and then they'll go work for Mike, and we'll all see them around. And when I'm being picky about my hiring, they're on my do not hire list. They're the guys that are filling roles when I'm not going to have to be so picky. They're the guys that are not loyal and dedicated to the company. So, not saying I won't hire them because I never tell people that, but at the same time, you have your people that go, yeah, we're busy. We got to give that guy another run, but he's leaving as soon as somebody offers him a buck more or something like that.
Yeah.
That's just industry and human nature. But by the same token, they do end up on our list, and if we're not hiring or we're being picky and we don't have that many jobs to fill, pass. We'll pass on you for now. So, those are the things we try to do. But we all face the same thing with especially with the bottom people. I think your core people are dedicated, and when you can get you know, people to stay with you 8, 10, 15, 20 years. 40 years. I've met some people that actually still work for me when I had my tools on, and that was many moons ago. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks, guys. We'll go ahead and move on to question 3. The global construction sector, including steel construction, has seen an average annual productivity growth of just 1% over the last 2 decades, compared to 3 to 4% in other industries. The slow growth has led to a significant productivity gap, prompting companies to adopt technologies that can streamline operations, reduce errors, and improve efficiency. What barriers do you face as some subcontractors when trying to adopt new technology? Donnie, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. So being a subcontractor, these guys know we have to go through the GC a lot for the approval of this new technology most of the time. So getting their approval and them to sign off with stuff that they may not know or they never have seen is an uphill battle sometimes. A lot of that has to do with cost as well. If it's not cost effective to them, they don't want to use it. And if it's likewise not cost effective to us, we don't want to use it as well. So it has to be a job specific kind of situation to use that technology and to get it approved and make it productivity wise for us.
Yeah, I think that can be tough. I mean, how do you guys, I know that tie-bot, iron bot, some of those larger, more advanced technologies are not meant for every job site. But when you have a job that you know this is a good solution and a GC is maybe pushing back or you're having to do some convincing, how are you going about having those conversations with a GC?
Really, it's about, most of the time it's productivity. It's meeting their schedule, making sure that they meet their pour dates. But at the same time, we have to self-reflect and make sure we're not running our guys out of work. Being a subcontractor in rebar, a lot of hurry up and wait. You hear that a lot in rebar. So, if we run ourselves out of work, so to say, we could be waiting, a week or two and our guys are down. So you just have to look at our schedules and make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a bind.
Mike, are you using, you mentioned that you're not necessarily using tie-bot, you're using more of the rebar tying tools. Is there anything else that you're using?
As of right now, no. But the tool's efficient. I mean, just like everybody else said earlier, I mean, you can, a lot of times you need a blend of labor force, lead men, rod busters, and then a labor, and you can always, while that labor's in training, put the right tool in their hand and, they're just as good as the next guy next to them. So, I mean, that's the good thing about technology.
Yeah. All right. And I'm sure, Chris, I do want to hear a little bit from you on this too. I mean, I know that, when you're trying to adopt new technology, there are barriers. It can be difficult. Do you find that you have more pushback from a GC, or do you have more pushback from your crews in the field feeling like they're being pushed out?
No. The second part, no, my crews love them right now, especially on these larger projects. My biggest barrier sometimes is the general contractor, because like Jack mentioned, I mean, these things have been out for 4 or 5 years now, and they've been on certain people's projects and certain general contractors' job sites, and they failed when they first come out, but it was new technology coming into this market. And, they've come a long way from then to now, but everybody always hears about the failures, never hears about the positive stuff later on in the future. So it is tough. Like you could do a whole job and it'd be 100% or 99.9% to the T. You've met it, you've maintained, you've met every schedule, and that one pour you miss, that contractor is going to focus. In fact, his main focus is that pour you missed, not all the 99 or 1,000 pours before that. So, implementing this technology into the market now, and the barriers I got to face, I've got to pretty much guarantee to this contractor that this technology is going to work for your project. It's not going to impact your cranes and your personnel, and that you will maintain and meet and exceed every pour that you have available. Like, with bridge and the DOT industry now, like the bid wells, I'm sure Jack hears about this all the time. Back 4 years ago, it seemed like you could do you set up your bid well, and it takes them a day to set it up, and now it takes them like 3 days. So you might have 5 days to do a deck, but realistically, you've only got 3 days to get out of the way, and they've got to come in and do their work. So it is tough with the general contractors more being than the employees now, but it's just a product that, you can't fail. I've had multiple tie bots on one project before, and I had to really convince the contractor that this is going to work. I don't have a choice. And if it fails on this project, it won't ever be on another project with them again. But you've got to, as a subcontractor, rebar placing subcontractor, you've got to really ensure and tell the contractor that this is going to 100% succeed, and it's going to maintain the schedule and beat every schedule that it faces. And like Mike was saying earlier, some of this technology, it can operate 24 hours a day, rain, snow, sleet. It's great technology. Some of the contractors, they're not going to entertain it. They will not. Like Jack said earlier, some of the older generation presidents and vice presidents and superintendents, they don't want it on their project. They're still stuck in the past. Well, we've got to look at moving forward and the new technology. And again, like we said, we're not trying to push anybody out. We're not trying to cut the labor force down. We're trying to help the labor force out. We're trying to implement this technology into the industry, and it's going to help everybody. Now, it's for certain projects, and I'd like to see it on more projects. And I think we have a long ways to go in technology. I know we keep talking about the tie bot, the DOT industry, but like Mike, he's not able to utilize the tie bot on his project. He's got some tie guns, but he's got to focus on ensuring that he's got, seasoned iron workers, and they're not out there right now. Again, the industry's tough, and you have to pay, and it's not like contractors are making more money. Jack will tell you, it's not like we're making more money and using this technology. We're trying to help the contractor, help us, and help our employees. So that's some of the barriers you face. But again, it's not. I've not yet had one employee come back and say, "Hey, you trying to take my job?" At first they look at it like, "Hey, man, I can do this better." And then, you put it on a project and they understand, like, look, man, I don't have to work as hard as what I used to. I'm not bent over all day. Because time bridge decks, it's a subcontractor, rebar DOT subcontractor. That's great. When you see all the steel going down, it's great. But then when you turn around, you look at all the time they have to do, like different states carry different requirements on different tie patterns. It's all different. Even though you have this technology on your sites, you can still fall in with this technology and help it. Tie it. We've got training programs, and we like to train our guys on this. I want if that operator goes down, I want another operator to be able to stand in. A lot of guys find it interesting, and they really like it. So that's and just getting the contractors on board. It's a good thing for us.
Yeah, and you mentioned DOTs. I want to ask a little bit about that. Are you getting pushback from DOT on using new technology?
I'm not. Jack will be able to talk more on the DOT because he's done a lot with the DOTs and implement new specifications for the DOTs, and tie bots helped out. Now, some of the DOTs, you put it on a site. We've got into North Carolina, one of the tie bots on one of our projects, and it completely shut down the whole DOT corporate office. They was all on the project 2 days later, looking at this machinery, taking pictures of it, watching it, seeing the productivity of the machinery. It's some of the DOTs. Jack's done a lot of help down in Florida with the tie bot and changing some of the specs so we're capable and able to use the tie bot in Florida now. So me personally, I haven't had any kickback from DOTs. The DOT people that we've utilized and seen and been on different projects, they've loved it. It's a big eye opener for them when they come by their state, or the director of the DOT drives by and sees this technology on his project site or within his state and within his community. It's a big thing. News stations will come out and look at this technology. So I personally haven't. Jack can talk more on that.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, and Chris is right. work with the Florida DOT anyways to change the specification to be able to use tie-bot. And they were very cooperative. The DOTs are not, the owners want it. They understand it. They get it. They got the projects to deliver. They want to see it. They got the vision of the what the future has to hold. They hear everything going on labor statistic wise. They want their jobs built faster, right? What you got to do, and what we're in the process of doing, what I've been doing for the last 4 years, is educating contractors. And you're right, when it first came out, it didn't do exactly what we wanted to do. There was some failures. There was some stuff, so you had to work through those program problems. But isn't that every technology? Anything that's new, you got to figure it out, right? So I can say now that it works extremely well, much more reliable, very good, can hit the ties. The issue now is getting contractors that are willing to change, do things a little differently. Okay, not necessarily not costing them more money, just doing things differently, giving us more. And these things run on screed rail and overhang, so having more overhang, having more screed rail, so that we can keep going, because we can go faster than their schedule. Which is, when do you ever hear that? You never hear that we can go faster, but we can go faster than their schedule, but they can't get out of our way. They can't give us the amount of work because they're not prepared, or they haven't planned the job to be able to go that fast. So that's the thing that you got to do now, as we're educating. And then you get in early on these jobs, early adoption with contractors that say, all right, what can we do with our schedule? Well, this is what we need to do. So you need to plan your work, or put enough money in for your extra overhang and what you need, extra screed rail, to be able to use this technology, so we can go faster, right? I mean, that's where it's at. And then you do have, you got old school people that just they don't like change, man. They want to do it. That's the way I've been doing it for 50 years. I'm going to keep doing it that way until I die. You can bring that, what I've heard, you can bring that shit on the job when I'm gone. Okay. So that's what we deal with a lot of. Here's every iron worker, every rod buster company story. Takes the contractor forever, and I'm not banging on my general contractors, although I am, forever to get something ready for rebar. But as soon as they get it ready for rebar, when are you going to be done? I want to pour concrete. It could be it take us a week and a half to do the rods we got to put down. And, well, I want you to do it in half the time. Well, how the hell am I supposed to do it? Oh, and then when you're done, I ain't going to have anything for you for 2 weeks. So, I mean, they don't care about continuity work. They don't care about the cost it takes to do it. And it doesn't matter how long it took them to do their job. You still got to meet the schedule. Matter of fact, you got to beat the schedule constantly. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. The rod busters are asked to improve the schedule on a daily basis. And so that's the industry, and that's what we do. And we're used to it. We got big shoulders and stuff like that, and we know how to push back. But that's the reality. That's the reality of the industry that we're in.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point and great conversation. Just due to time, let's go ahead and move on to our fourth and our final question for our panelists. We all know, and this was actually mentioned earlier, that continuous training and education is essential to getting people home safely every day. We want to send them home how they came to us that day. Before we dive into this question, I do want to talk a little bit about SEAA's custom reinforcing ironworker training program. The curriculum meets NCCER certification standards and was developed in collaboration with reinforcing steel construction subject matter experts, namely Jack, who is on this call. He really led the charge for this. The curriculum includes 72.5 hours of NCCER core content and another 244 hours covering NCCER Reinforcement Ironworker Level 1 and SEAA NCCER Reinforcement Ironworker Level 2. Jack, given that you were so instrumental in the development of this curriculum, before we dive into this question, I'm going to segue and I want to ask you something else. I want to know more about how you went about creating this program and how you got NCCER's buy-in.
So first of all, NCCR already had a reinforcing ironworker curriculum. But being an ironworker, you could tell it was developed by general contractors, right? So there was one section was ironworking for the most part, and then the other section was completely carpentry type base work. So So you could tell that it was developed in conjunction with a bunch of general contractors, probably some of the bigger guys that are out there, the big, prime contractors out there. And so when you looked at it, especially as a rod buster and a reinforcing iron worker, you go to take the assessment or you're looking at training, man, this doesn't have anything to really do with what we're doing. Why do we need to know how to put up gang forms and things like that? I mean, if you've been in the industry long enough, you would have knowledge of that, but not necessarily be your trade. But so what I did is I went and looked at what NCCR had in other curriculums and brought those in and said, hey, let's get rid of the fluff. Let's get rid of the stuff that doesn't apply and let's use the stuff that does. So intermediate rigor, signal person, the OSHA 10. So we were able to take and make a really strong curriculum that I'm proud of that say, hey, this doesn't have any fluff. This is what a rod buster needs to know how to do. It's a 2-year program, 4,000 man hours. So as the OJT, you have the educational curriculum side, and so when we were able to, and I have to give credit to NCCR, they were willing to work with us to do that. They didn't just say, well, we have a curriculum, this is what it is. They wanted us to get rid of the fluff. They wanted to make it a very impactful curriculum, and we've done that. For any rebar companies that are out there that are listening to this, you need to check out what we've done. We've created a great program. If you're looking to do training for your employees, which we should all be doing because of a well-trained crew is a safer and more productive crew. So we've taken this, we've created a curriculum, and it gives you the ability to really help your people and your industry. And I did this mostly for the industry, but also for my own company too. But I kept saying we need to stop watering down this stuff and really be able to teach these guys the right way to do things. So hopefully I answered your question there.
Yeah, you did absolutely. And I do, just a follow up to that, have getting rid of some of that fluff, some of the things that they didn't really need to know how to do. How has that affected your training program and your crews and your apprentices? Has that, you know, how are they doing with that? Are they really enjoying that? And obviously they're finding it more, applicable to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, first of all, the comments that you would get is it's much more applicable to the work that we're doing, right? So they appreciate that. I would get those comments all the time. Well, what the hell do I need to learn about form work for? Why are we teaching that? That doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing. So you have that. I will tell you, it's a challenge to get people fully through apprenticeship. They don't have the patience. They don't want to do the educational side. You will get people to say, "Hey, I didn't go to college because I didn't want to have to go to school." Well, our school is it's minimal, but it's still there's an education side that need to do this. We've in our company we've made it very accessible. We do most of our training through online training and stuff like that, so it's not a burden on them. We pay our employees for their apprenticeship, so when they finish a module, we know how many hours it should take to do that. We give them a stipend. We don't pay them by the hour, but we give them a stipend and say, when you successfully complete each module, you're going to get paid. So we call it earn while you learn, right? So you have a job, you're getting paid for going and getting an education instead of paying for an education, right? And we're going to give you a skill set that you can use and you can take it anywhere. Okay, if you decide Shelby's not the right place for you, or you want to move across the country, you can take these skills with you anywhere, and they're going to be portable and recognized throughout the industry. So I think all of that brings value to what we've been trying to do and what we're doing.
Yeah. Have you found that standardized training, has that reduced your training costs?
Oh, absolutely. That was the other thing. I knew we needed to do something, but I'm not an educator. So by taking what NCCR did, I'm not a teacher, and why reinvent the wheel, right? So this gave us the ability to take something that really was put together by people that know how to teach and put it in place in a construction environment with a construction company. Here's something I'm very proud of, and I don't know about the rest of you guys. I got a high school education. I graduated in 1985, went out of high school into the trades, became an iron worker. I had no idea that 40 years later, I'd be a business owner, president of the Steel Erectors Association of America, and a leader in our industry. It's only through hard work and dedication I was able to do that. I wish I had had an apprenticeship program. I learned by, hey boy, let's go, and got drug around the job sites and was just dumb enough to pick it up and learn it, right? And so I think, some of us have that experience, but construction is still one of those industries that you can come out of high school, you don't have to go to college, and you can still be successful. And yes, you can be a business owner someday.
Yeah, absolutely. Donnie and Chris, really quickly, I know you guys are new members to SEAA in 2024, and one of the main reasons you joined the association was because of this training program and curriculum. What about the program really enticed you guys? Why did you feel that this was going to be a good fit for your company?
You want to go D3? You want me to go?
You got that one. You got
Okay.
more experience with that down south there.
Yeah, I talked to Jack before we had even joined for this curriculum. It's a lot of projects that's upcoming. I'm all about the education and the training and the apprenticeship programs. It's something that has been a thing of the past unless you're a union iron worker. I mean, they have an apprenticeship program that teaches everything, but nothing was strictly for reinforcing iron workers. We have reinforcing iron workers. Jack have reinforcing iron workers. We haven't implemented this into our company yet. We've talked about it, and we're looking at implementing it into the company. Certain projects that's got these PLAs. A lot of projects I spoke of yesterday, like with the Corps of Engineers, I want to see that this is an accredited course for them. So I can use my own iron workers instead of having to start a different or utilize someone else's iron workers in our apprenticeship program. Not that I'm trying to get away from the union, but we're a non-union company, and with this training right here, as long as we've got this program, and I think as Jack said, we can track once we implement this into our company, we can track as a company track how our employees are doing throughout the process of the level 1, level 2. That's a big thing for us as this company. Again, technology is going. The apprenticeship program is great for the education in the program because some of these programs they have, it's tough to show them like, hey, this is how you rig, or this is how you signal, or this is how you tie. This tie is made for this, and this program, Jack, as he mentioned, I mean, this is set up for iron workers and rod busters and reinforcing iron workers. A lot of people. You can act like you learn it in the field, and I'm about like Jack, and Donnie is the same way that's on this call. We started in a rod patch. I mean, I had a pair of dikes for 2 years. Now, it's not something that this has been my full-time job, but I've worked off and on while I went to college and when I went to the military, and this program, it's come a long way, and that, again, this is something that we're going to implement and for our younger generation that's getting into this industry, that we can use this training that's new training that we don't have to utilize some. It's already there. So we don't have to get in the NCCR now. I mean, we've got SEAA that's partnered with NCCR to start looking at getting our guys certified and qualified through this. So I think it's great. It's set up pretty much like an OJT program that they've got on certain projects. I mean, you got to graduate. You got to work in this industry so many hours before you get to level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And it dictates your pay ratios. So you might start out at $15 an hour and then work your way up to $35 an hour. It just depends on the apprenticeship program, which scale that you're at, which job you're at. So, bringing this into the industry, I think it's going to be great for our companies and other rod busting companies and reinforcing companies that's on this call, because stuff like this is going to be required before long in the future that I see on general contractors and owners of different companies. They're going to want to see the workers certified in certain things. I mean, as far as for OSHA, it's just like OSHA, a lot of projects that we walk into now. Hey, how many everybody on this project or all your employees need to be OSHA 10 certified? Before long, they're going to say, hey, every one of yours needs to go through level 1 or level 2 iron workers. I mean, we just don't want somebody that's never been in this industry to step foot on this project. It can be a safety hazard. So how much training is your company really doing for your employees? I mean, you just can't throw anybody on a project site with a hard hat, high vis vest, and a pair of gloves and say, hey, get to work. It's dangerous. So with this training that's already created for us, yeah, I think it's going to be great for the industry and great for us as a company. And I hope other people that's listening to this call and rod companies, and I mean, you really ain't got to be a rod company. I mean, you can still pass this trainer out for iron workers. I mean, some of them, they can hang structural iron all day. That don't mean they don't have to tie rebar. I don't mean they know how to fly a wall in. This is good training for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great. That's great insight. Thanks, Chris. All right, so we have about 10 minutes left. We are going to get into audience questions. I've seen we've got some good questions coming in through the question box. But before we do that, I just want to thank our panelists really quickly. Thank you. Thank you for great conversation. Thanks for being here today. If you happen to have any questions that you haven't typed in the question box, now is the time to do so. Please submit those questions. I quickly, before we move on, wanted to mention a special discount that SEAA is offering for new members. If your company joins now before the end of the year and you secure a 2025 membership, you can gain access to our member benefits right away. And that includes access to our Steel Pros training portal that has more than 80 ironworker training videos on it that was developed with ITI and is a learning management system. It's really great. You can get help with setting up craft training and or your apprenticeship program. We have member-to-member discounts on software, certifications, workman's comp, and tools and supplies. We also offer a job board and applicant tracking system for those looking to continue their recruitment. If you have questions about membership, you can reach out to Carrie Goldstein. She is SEAA's Director of Membership and Business Development. Her contact info is on the screen. All right, we will go ahead and get into some audience questions. You will see on the right-hand side of the presentation, there's a QR code that will take you to SEAA's Reinforcing Membership page that has information about the training program and other membership benefits that you can take advantage of. If you have questions about craft training, you can contact Tim Eldridge. His contact information is on the screen. He's our education and training partner. So questions from the audience. There is, so I will open this to the group, but do you expect suppliers and vendors to provide training when you adopt a new tool or technology?
I mean, to an extent, right? You got to be taught how to use their tool, um, how to apply it to our industry or to our work and what we're actually doing. Probably not. They're not experts in that. I think a lot of times we end up giving them the feedback that they need to make their tools better. They come up with a concept, but yeah, I mean, they need to provide basic training. Um, it would be nice if they had training videos. So, for example, Max USA, how to load the wire, how to keep the guns clean, how to get your tie counts off of that, stuff like that, if you're tracking those things. And then with ACR, we've been working on them. They provide some training, but we're also working with them on creating video training. I mean, online training and video training is the way of the future, right? That's the future's here. This is what we need to be doing so people can go and access it and not have to send them to Pittsburgh to go get trained, right? So yeah, so we expect some level of training. Certainly, the more they can offer, the better. But how to implement it on our jobs, I don't know that they're going to be skilled enough to do that.
Do any of your companies, this is another question that came in from the audience. Do you guys have an allotted budget for investing in new tools or technology? Do you put that in your budget every year?
Let Donnie answer that one.
No, it just is job specific. It's got to be cost effective to us. So I don't think that we have any kind of money to it, but it definitely, we factor it into each bid that we do, whether we can use it on that job or not, and what it will mean to us.
Yeah, I would say the same. Look, we bid the jobs to do it the way traditionally we've done the jobs, unless you go into a job knowing you're going to use that technology, but then you have to be able to fit the technology into your budget. So again, this is one of those things where technology has to be affordable. We can't pay 10%, 15% more to use technology. The technology that are coming out have to be affordable. They have to be cost effective, or we're not going to use them. Bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question from the audience that we got in is more SEAA related. So Jack, I'm going to ask you this question. How does SEAA help implement the craft training program? Can you speak to that? And then what other curriculum company or
Yeah.
training unit
So
have access to?
yeah, Tim Eldridge is the person from SEA. He's our master trainer. He's the guy that helps implement your programs. You got to remember two things. You can do this in a couple different steps. You don't have to come in automatically right off the bat and be doing what Shelby Erectors is doing. You can start, you can limp in and you can start using the training tools that we have you in the curriculums and implementing it in house. If you want certification, if you want NCCR credentials and certification, then you want to become a training unit, you want to become an assessment site, and you want to do that. SEAA and Tim will help you do that. We'll do it for you, help you with that at a discounted price. You're going to set yourself up as a NCCR certified training site, so there's a cost associated with get those credentials and then training your people to become instructors and evaluators. But SEAA has Tim to do that. He'll help you implement your program. The one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to scare people off. When I first learned about NCCR curriculum, we went out to LPR. This is on the structural steel side, and I met with Brian McClure, who's now on the board and has his own safety company. They blew me away with what they were doing. They had all this stuff, and I was thinking to myself, "Oh my God, there's no way I can ever get to that." That's like they had all these metrics and training and things that they were doing, but I knew that that was the direction I wanted to go in. It starts with baby steps. We were certified, NCCR certified for 3 years before we really started implementing our program. So it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that you've got to believe in, and your owners and ownership have to believe in it and back it. That's a bottom line. But SEAA, when you join, you become a member of SEAA. And by the way, I'll tell you this, the membership cost of SEAA is ridiculously low. That's not an excuse for not joining. The value that what you get out of SEAA for your membership cost is nothing. Okay. But if you want to take training seriously and you want to set it up to where you can certify your guys, then you would go through Tim and through our program, and he would help you walk through those steps. He has the ability to certify you, certify your company, and get you set up properly. That's the advantage of being a member of SEAA, because we can help you without you having to go and have your own master trainer. He is your master trainer. So
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks for answering that, Jack. Well, we only have a couple more minutes. We are running out of time, but I do, again, just want to thank all of our panelists for attending today. I want to thank all of our attendees for registering and showing up and being interested in SEAA and wanting to learn a little bit more about what we do and how we can help contractors of all sizes in the steel industry. That's obviously our purpose and our passion, and we do everything we can as an organization to help you guys and give you guys resources and advocate. So I really appreciate everyone joining us today. Thank you so much. All right, that wraps us up for today.
good deal. Hey guys, I want to thank you guys. The three of us or four of us, we're direct competitors. But that's never made me afraid to ask you guys to join SEAA and become a part of it. You guys are leaders in the industry. This just goes to show we can be competitors on bid day, but we can also help the industry out and help each other out. And this is a demonstration of how that works, right? And so I appreciate you guys, your time. We have a lot more in common than we have not in common, right? So,
Absolutely,
um,
yeah.
yeah, and we can learn from each other. I learn from you guys, you learn from me. Um, I've been doing this, I love what I've been doing with SEAA. And again, I've said this before. I like to think that I'm helping impact and making the industry better in any way I can. And so
Yeah.
that's how we
Yeah, we
give back.
appreciate it too. We appreciate the invite. We appreciate being part of it. And, I appreciate you all. Yeah, I know it comes to bid day, we can be competitors, but you know, there's enough work out there for all of us. And Jack, you know, I'll reach out to you. Mike, I've got your contact. I'll reach out to you too. And you know, it is. It's about the industry. It's about the employees. It's about the workforce. About our companies. About making this a good environment. I mean, I've got kids too. You all got kids. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing. I can't wait to throw mine into a rod patch. He's 15 years old. I mean, next summer, shoot, I'm throwing him straight in a rod patch. I mean, it's tough. This industry's tough, but again, like you said, man, you can have a high school degree and you can be a business owner. You can make six figures. Though, I mean, the sky's the limit when you get into this industry, as long as you work hard and you have a good head on your shoulder. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, we appreciate everything and anything we can do. I'm excited about next year and later on this year the SEAA events. I mean, I've told Donnie, I was like the one he missed last year, Donnie Senior. I mean, dude, that's a great event. There's a lot of information, and you know, Nelson done a great job. I mean, y'all done a great job. It's a lot of information, and you know, it's nice seeing that, nice seeing out all the people that come out, the different companies. I mean, we have like you said, we have a lot more in common than what people think. So
Yeah,
thank y'all.
Absolutely. Yeah, the respect is mutual for sure. Yeah. We think a lot of y'all's companies, and to be able to be a part of something with you guys is just beneficial. I don't see any harm.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah,
All right.
it also shows the camaraderie, right? Amongst competitors, which is important to see as well. And that's what you guys, the SEAA program, organization brings too. So this is all good stuff. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Great. Yeah,
Well,
we're basically a big happy family.
and Macy, you did a fantastic job. Great job.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Maisie.
Thank you, and thank you guys. I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Sorry I missed you guys
We'll
yesterday.
I think we'll get a lot of I think we'll get a lot of positive feedback on this, and yeah. So and maybe 6 months, 9 months from now we do another one and on different topics or something like that, and so it could be fun. I'm hoping to see SEAA grow its rebar membership.
Yeah.
You guys know it. We're the fucking backbone of the ironworkers. Okay, we're the hardest working ironworkers out there, and we have a lot to offer. And not all of our competitors, um, are as well organized as our companies are, maybe, but we can help them. We can help a
Yeah,
lot of those guys
absolutely.
out there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so there's a lot to
And that's
offer. So
also
anyway,
having these conversations and sharing the knowledge and passing it around, and that's really what we're all about.
yep, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
All
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
All right, thank
See
you all
ya.
again.
Thank you.
Have a
Yeah,
good
have a
day.
good day.